Morning, everybody. We're just doing some prep work today, and I think the way that this is gonna work is, let's see. So I think the idea today is that I'm going to try to tape up some of these. Let's see here. Why isn't my live stream showing up? There we go. Okay. So now I can see the chat. Beautiful. All right. Okay, so I don't know if we want to run small big. Maybe that makes sense. So yeah, basically all I'm going to try to do is protect a couple of sections here from the sandblasting that I'm going to do later. So using masking tape because I'm not using a very aggressive sandblasting media. I'm literally just slowly walking it around the edge here. Super intricate. So you can see I have this band of texture, right? And I want to maintain this texture. And I want to sandblast the two smooth areas. So I want to keep the rim, keep the foot, and keep this all looking pristine. So all I'm doing is just really slowly layering this in. The reason that I went live today is because I don't often get to talk a lot while I'm doing my stream because I have, the respirator on and the lathe is moving and stuff. And I thought, if anybody has any questions, this is kind of a great time to ask them. We can talk finishing, we can talk technique, we can talk wood, we can talk life, whatever y'all want. Just figured, hey, I'm up early, I'm gonna make myself available. Oh, so last night I went on a run, and I was running down, I like to run around the courts that we have around here. I live in a closed neighborhood, so I can basically run a long ways without encountering anybody else. We have these courts, right, and so if I just, run within the neighborhood, I can get about 1.5 miles if I run all of the courts, right? And so I just kind of, had my headphones in. I was cruising, and I come around the corner, and there are two huge German shepherds directly in my path, and they look like wolves. And I grew up with German shepherds, and I still panicked a little bit. Like I legitimately freaked out. I was lucky; they were super friendly dogs. We got them back home. They were definitely not supposed to be out, but yeah, freaked me out a little bit. You know, even if you really like a specific breed of dog, you know, a German Shepherd, you see a couple of them at 9 p.m. when the sun's gone down, just standing at the end of the court you're trying to run into. Yeah, it'll wake you right up. I have to say, I nailed it with that coffee this morning. All right, so this is the idea: is I want to protect this band, and I want to protect this foot. Let me see. I have a little bit. Yeah, good. A little bit of sandpaper left over. I'm just going to touch up the foot a very little bit here. This is all manual. Again, if you have questions about what's going on or just wood turning in general, craft in general, whatever, go ahead and drop them in the chat. I really don't get a chance to talk very often because I have the respirator on, you know. I try not to talk a lot while the lathe is moving, honestly, but there we go. Okay. Just trying to feel for any rough or high spots because I'm not gonna get a chance to sand most of this stuff again anyway. And then just a little bit on the inside here. I do also think that I'm gonna sandblast the absolute dead center of the foot. I had sort of hoped that I would have one of the lighter rings running straight through there, but no such luck today. Okay, I'm going to lay down the second strip of tape in just a second. I gotta tell you, that coffee is absolutely hitting right now. Cool. Let's see. So, smaller diameter, curve is tighter, should be a bit harder. But we got this, right? Yeah, this is definitely weirder. I'm gonna have to do this one in segments. There's a part of me that also thinks, like, what if I just cover it, right? I go strip by strip. And then just kind of like cut it off as I go. What's the point of a freshly sharpened knife if you're not going to use it for stuff like this, right? So the video that I've been working on producing this week is about this crazy box that I turned. There are a whole bunch of layers. It took me, I think, 7 different days worth of glue ups. Maple burl, highly figured walnut. I mean, it's a really cool piece. But I'm finally starting to produce it. And when you engineer it for kind of the YouTube attention span, it cuts all the way down. I'm at like 18 minutes and I kind of want to cut it further just because I know that there's some areas that like drag according to YouTube's timeline. And I thought it was kind of funny. Like there's definitely an attention span limit on YouTube. But like it literally took me 7 2-hour shop days. And I'm gonna get it down probably to like 15, 16 minutes. Just like the ratio of footage to what actually makes it in is kind of ridiculous. Although I am feeling a little bit better about it. I was listening to Ken Burns on the Plain English podcast the other day. And he was talking about how for his new American Revolution documentary, they had 4,000 hours worth of like footage and document shots and all kinds of stuff. So I guess I shouldn't feel that bad about having like 14 hours of footage and having to cut it down to 14, 15 minutes, right? But It does still feel crazy. That said, a lot of it wouldn't make awesome content anyway, you know? Like, who wants to watch glue dry? Although maybe, I don't know, maybe that's an ASMR thing. I don't know. Maybe that's what people really want, is for me to get very close to the microphone and talk intensely, make weird lip sounds, so they can watch their glue dry. Right, so, let's see here. So then I'm just gonna protect the rest. Just little strips here. So there we go. That's what we're looking for. What's up, Zam? All right, so next layer. It's going to be right up here on the rim. This one's probably going to be tough. We're going to do this one in sections too, because as I come around the curve, it really just wants to pull up. So just sections. I don't know how much blue tape I'm going to have to use for this. This is actually probably not the correct tape. Now, I tried electrical tape because it bends a little bit more easily. You know, it has a little bit of stretch to it. Just whatever it is about the adhesive, just does not want to hang on to this mulberry wood. Tried it for the last hollow form that I turned. Actually, that reminds me, I need to do some bleaching on a hollow form. I'm gonna actually go grab that out so that I can cook while I'm doing this. All right, hold on. Yeah, maybe I'll wait until closer to the end. Let's wait until 6:40, I think. Get this one completely taped up, and then one project at a time. Yeah, I have a hollow form that I did some carving on, and I'm trying to bleach the carved portion because I already sandblasted it, and so I'm trying to make it like really visually distinct so that it just, like right now it just kind of blends into the piece. You know, it's not obvious that it's been carved, and so I'm trying to experiment with ways to just kind of get it to pop, you know? So I think I'm going to bleach it, and then I think I'm going to do some pyrography around it. Just do some stippling. There we are. All right. And that's a short one, and that's okay. This is, look, I mean, like, there's so much of this to do. It's ridiculous. I'm going to be doing this on and off for days. But I think the effect is going to be worth it. This is going to be, like, start to finish, this is going to be my longest long-form video so far. Like in terms of when I actually started the project, which was almost 3 months ago, and then I probably won't even get to finish it this week. Also, it kind of seems like my wife is going to go into labor this week. That's just what it feels like. So I might get to take some shop time off, you know what I mean? Manoj, welcome. We're just gonna go little slices all the way around, all the way around. Just protect as much of this rim as possible. Yeah, in a few minutes I'll, Manoj, I am taping up a bowl so that I can protect it while I sandblast it. I'm gonna sandblast just a couple of rings. So I want this one to be sandblasted, I want this to be sandblasted, and I want the center to be sandblasted, but I need to protect everything that isn't getting that treatment. So I'm doing this very long, very slow process of taping it up. I hope you're having a good evening too, Manoj. Go. Yep, and this is the tiny, painstaking work that goes on behind the scenes, you know? Stuff that doesn't show up on the ledger. This is the stuff, like, when I try to explain to people, you know, I think there's this stage that everybody gets into when they get into wood turning where they start trying to calculate like the hourly that they can make, you know? Like suppose you wanted to make a living doing this, right? Like what's the hourly? What do you have to make in order to scrape by, you know, in order to make your rent and all that stuff? This is the stuff that I don't think people account for, which is, like, I think that people miss the time and the cost of harvesting wood. Right, because if you pay for your wood, I don't think that there's a way to do it. Like, I don't think that you can really turn profitably if you have to pay for all of your wood. I mean, there are probably exceptions to that, but I think that that's probably the backbreaker, right? Yeah, Manoj, you're welcome to hang out. But like, this is the kind of stuff that just doesn't show up on the ledger, right? Like this. You don't think about this when you start the project. You think like, oh, you know, I'll make a nested set and it'll be cool. You know, I'll take one piece of wood, I'll turn it into 3 bowls. I could sell the 3 bowls. How long could the 3 bowls take to turn? And you don't really think like, hey, I'm gonna spend 6 or 7 hours just taping, right? Just applying blue painter's tape. I think that most crafts have something like this, right? Like I think for pottery, from the people that I know, you know, it's like mentally, do you factor in the fact that like once the clay is, you know, leather dry or semi-dry, that you're gonna have to flip it over and start doing treatments on the foot, you know, get that all squared away, and then you have to do kind of the light sanding to make sure that you don't have too much dust, and you know the surface is nice and it's gonna receive the glaze well, and like I think most people just think about like throwing or the turning or whatever, not necessarily about all the little intermediate crafts, which is why I will say I love doing one-offs. Like I love not being a production shop. I love doing each piece individually, but it means that I never get any economies of scale. Like I never reap the rewards of batching, for instance, right? Like I can't put a bunch of pieces down and finish them all separately because I might be doing different species, or I might want, you know, if I'm doing different shapes or for different purposes every single day, then I don't necessarily want the same finish for every single piece, which means that I don't get the advantage of like a production shop. Let's see here. Which is a choice, right? It also means that I don't have to turn the same thing for like a week or two at a time. But it is also maybe like a little bit frustrating not to get any of those advantages, you know? In my day job, I get to discover efficiencies all the time, and I love it, you know? It's a big time dopamine hit when you figure out like where wasted time is going, how you can do things better. Yeah, there's just not a ton of that to be done. Hand turning one-offs, you know? I am thinking about doing a video series, and I would be interested to hear from y'all. Instead of making it about a piece, I want to make it about a tree. So for instance, my neighbor's tree is going to come down. It's a big Siberian elm. It's probably, I mean, it's got to be at least 22 inches across at the base. It's pretty significant. And so what I'm thinking about doing is, instead of making it about like, here's the piece that I turned, like here's the hollow form, or here's the bowl, or whatever, What I'm thinking about doing is making it about, here's the tree, here's everything that I make from the tree, right? So I'll show myself like what I take from the tree, what I think I can reasonably handle. I can't take all the wood because I'll be turning it for years, but you know, what are the good pieces? What's interesting about the tree? Like what do I select to break down into blanks? The kinds of blanks that I make out of it, right? So how do I select for bowl blanks? How do I go, you know, live edge versus a standard bowl? Where do I pluck vessel blanks from? Where do I take box blanks from? And then basically just show that whole process, like what that's like. And then maybe core a couple of blanks, right? Show how I try to maximize the material. Show what it's like to turn green box blanks. Show what it's like to turn green hollow form blanks. And basically just kind of like lay it all out on the floor, you know, maybe finish like one of each type and then just kind of like lay the entire thing out on the floor and just show like, this is what you can get out of this portion of a tree. So I'm kind of workshopping that idea right now, and I would be interested to hear what y'all think. Would you watch something that's like, here's what I got from a tree instead of here's this bowl that I turned? I'd be interested to see if you would be interested. I think it's just like an interesting way of thinking about it. I don't know how it fits into the YouTube algorithm, right? Because it's not like a project-centric type of video. But I think it would be an interesting take, like an interesting addition, making it about the tree instead of the exact product that's being made. Boy, yeah, doing the inside of this foot is going to be pretty difficult. That might not happen. Okay, so what we can do, I think, is wrap the outside pretty well. I've also just been thinking a lot about how I can kind of zag in the YouTube game, if that makes sense. Like, I think I've already done a pretty reasonable job of it. Like there are a lot of channels out there where it's just like a guy in their shop, you know, like the lighting is pretty much bleach white, and I think that I've rebelled against that pretty successfully. I think I brought like a little bit of cinematography to it. I'm very proud of that, but I'm continuing to try to zag. Like I don't want to keep making the same type of content that everybody else is making. So I'm trying to find ways to kind of shake it up from like a plot perspective, if that makes sense. It's funny, when I was starting wood turning, I watched a ton of videos, like always trying to acquire new skills. Just thinking about it a ton, thinking about it all the time. And then as I got better and better, I watched less and less of that, and as I discovered that I wanted to make videos about it for myself, I started watching other YouTubers, you know, trying to figure out like what do they shoot and why, and how do they structure things, and like what seems to be working and what doesn't. And now, I hardly watch any YouTube, like wood turning stuff. I don't know, I feel saturated, you know, like it's gotta be like, I don't know, if you were like a pro athlete or something, like how much of that sport could you really watch? You know, you get done playing for like Man United and you're like, oh man, can't wait to get home, watch more soccer, you know, like. I think it also keeps me from absorbing other people's ideas, you know, which I think is a good thing ultimately. Like I kind of want my ideas to be unfettered or unsullied by what other people have decided. That way it can be a little bit more original, you know, a little bit more distinctive. Do I sell my stuff, Manoj? I do. I don't do a good job of selling it online, unfortunately. I really should update my shop more frequently, but I just don't. So what I usually do is at the end of the year, we have a couple of wealthier areas down here. And what I will generally do is I will sell all the stuff that I made towards the end of the year, especially around the Christmas season. I'm not doing that this year because my wife is super duper pregnant. So I'm taking some time off from the craft circuit right now. want to leave her alone with the two other little maniacs that we have in the house. Okay, so I think that's gonna have to do. And then maybe I can come back and do the inside. But yeah, I think that's the idea right there. That's what we're going for. So I should be able to sandblast both of those. And so the idea here is there were a couple, it's kind of a weird crossover, but there are a couple of watches that I really like where the material is all the same, right? Like it's all the same steel, but it's polished to different levels and they sit right next to each other and it just adds this depth that I really, really enjoy. And so that's the effect that I'm trying to replicate here, which is, yeah, basically, obviously same material, right? Same exact wood. I'm just gonna give them distinct and varied textures. So like the middle band has an extreme texture, and then one out from the center will have the sandblasted texture, and then the very bottom will hopefully be glass smooth. And that will, I don't know, hopefully set itself off. All right, 1 second. I do want to do some bleaching on this hollow form. I want to show you this hollow form that I was carving the other day, actually. Give me 1 second to go grab it. I think it's pretty cool. So this was it. So here, we're gonna do a little bit of bleaching today, but yeah, trying to see if that shows up on the other live stream. But yeah, so I did this this carving on it, right? And then I sandblasted the inside. Like I taped off the outside, sandblasted the inside, and I've been trying to bleach it with oxalic acid, and it's just not going that well. So we're gonna try some 2-part wood bleach, but I want to get it cooking off right now. So that there's still time for me to do other stuff of the day. So give me 1 sec here. It'd be much tougher if I can't find my red solo cups. I think this would be easier if I was 21. Oh yeah, the box. I wanted to show you this too. So this is the crazy box that I was turning the other day as well. So here it is. So many different layers, right? And I'm not going to show you the interior because there's a secret in there. I don't want you guys to see the video, but yeah, maple burl in the lid. I think it's a pretty cool inlay, right? And just multiple layers stacked all the way down. You know, a little secret on the bottom too. So yeah, this is the box that took, no kidding, 7 separate days of glue ups to put together, which is objectively madness, right? Like, who does that? Okay, cool. Found some red solo cups. And then we're going to get into some wood bleaching. I'm going to turn off the A camera for a second because this is not related to that video any longer. And then get some brushes. Cool. And then we wear gloves because we're no dummies, right? 1, 2, all right, so. Gotta wear gloves, all right. So the last time I did this, it didn't work all that well. What I'm hoping is that with some different wood. I've actually been thinking about doing this with some walnut. Like we ebonize oak, and everybody's cool with that, right? Like nobody freaks out. And then, like, I don't know, I feel like people would freak out if I bleached walnut, and that makes me want to do it even more. Like, why, you know, after all the imposition that we go through on walnut, sorry, putting my retainers back in while I remember, like we're imposing so much form, right? We remove 90+% of the material. Like, why would it be weird to change the color slightly, right? So I just kind of want to explore that as a way of thinking about like what we do, like how we think about authenticity in wood, really. Okay. Apply solution A to saturate entire area. Let stand approximately 5 minutes for softwoods and 10 minutes for hardwoods. So, ooh, slippery, right? Okay, yeah, I don't think it's gonna take much. Back up over here. Ooh, don't run. Don't run. Okey-doke. So yeah, I really want to get this like a bleached, like almost driftwood effect because it's already been sandblasted pretty aggressively. So what I'm hoping is that it will look like this part has somehow sort of died. And then right in these little channels right here, you can see, you know, I've carved some spots deeper. So what I want to do there is I'm going to do some really fine pyrography and stippling. Just kind of set it off. So yeah, I think it's going to look, you know, deep black, intense. The point is for it to look like something is like growing in and aggressively eating the wood. Just trying to make sure that I get all of the high spots because I'm going to do pyrography on the low spots. There we go. There we go. Okay, cool. So that can dry while we're here. Oh wow, I think it's already pulling out some of the lignin. That should work. Okay, Google, is that everything? Cool. All right, and then, yeah, we'll do part 2 in a second. So this one is done, right? So I can set this aside somewhere. Why not right over here, huh? And then start taping up this guy right here. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of touch up on the foot. This may be my last chance at it. But yeah, look, if anybody has any questions about finishing or anything in the chat, drop them in. I don't generally make myself available to talk like this very often, so I just kind of wanted to do it today. Usually I have the full respirator on. It's difficult for me to talk. If you have an itching, burning question, this is a pretty good time for it. Especially as sometime in the next month, my wife and I will have another baby and I will not be on live stream for like a while after that. Alright, so I'm going to try to get down one more layer of tape here. I have to tell you all, the larger diameter makes this way easier. I know sometimes it seems like it would be easier to experiment on a small piece. You know, you don't want to lose a big piece if it goes wrong, but boy, yeah, if you're masking things up, strong recommendation for going bigger. This bigger diameter is, no joke, so much easier. This would go way faster than the tiny one. Okay, and then push all of this down so we get maximum adhesion. All right, look at how much faster that was than the other one. That's nice. Carpenter manoj, very cool. Yeah, it's fun to do new stuff, you know, like try to learn new skills, try to push yourself a little bit. I find that that's the most interesting, right? Because if you just do the same thing all the time, like what's the point, right? Okay, yeah, this one, I think I learned my lesson from the last one. I think I'm just gonna mask it quickly and then cut it. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine just doing like the same exact thing over and over and over? That'd be such a bummer. That's why I turn a lot of one-offs. Like, I know the ultimate demonstration of skill as a turner is to do production turning, and I've done some of it before, you know, a series of plates, series of boxes, whatever. But I just find it dull. Like, I like being able to wake up with a new idea, you know, come up with a new concept the day before and not have to wait months to implement it because I'm in the middle of a production run. Like, actually being able to just go out and do it. I think that's where I have the most fun. That's where I feel the most alive as a turner, by far. So just using my thumbnail to kind of outline this groove, because otherwise I'm in the dark a little bit. There you go. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for, right? Got it in the groove. And then I suppose I should be filming this with the A camera as well, because it is part of the video technically. Sandblaster on the furniture, that's interesting. Yeah, yeah, I think you want to wait for open grained woods for sure. So I found that stuff like oak and ash does really nicely. You're gonna want a big cabinet, but I think sandblasting works best when it's not the entire thing, like when it's just an accent, right? So like, I don't know, the way that I'm thinking about it is, you know, the armrest on a chair, you don't want that rubbing on people, right? Like, you want it smooth up top, but then the piece that connects to the armrest, that can be sandblasted because it doesn't touch people directly, right? You want it to look like people want to touch it, but you don't actually want it to interfere with how the piece works. Getting a big sandblasting cabinet would be a big help for that. The other thing that I recommend is that I think early on people want to do aluminum oxide because it's aggressive. I would recommend not doing aluminum oxide. I would recommend doing glass beads. Aluminum oxide absolutely works. The problem with it is that it leaves this really fine dust that just like embeds itself on absolutely everything. And that part of it kind of sucks, to be honest. Like, getting it back off of your piece is almost impossible. So I recommend the glass beads. The glass beads also kind of do a little bit of sanding work for you. Like, there's this peening effect where it smooths everything out, and I think that's really cool as well. Honestly, anything that reduces my sanding load, like the amount of sanding that I have to do, I'm fully on board for it. Sanding is a bummer. All right, here we go. Nice. Nice, nice. Look at all that coming together. Oh no, no. I had to say something, huh? Oh. Come on. Okay, one more piece and then we'll be done on that. I just need to be able to pick up the corner. Nice. Beautiful. Okay, there we go. See? Nice clean lines. Not so bad. Alright, now I'm just going to cover up the rest of this. We're going to go through a lot of tape here. You know what? That's okay. Ruben, Ellie, thanks for joining us. Sorry, we're just doing some taping today. Not super high speed, but still important. It's going to be a big component of the next video. Well, I wouldn't say the next video. I think the next one that's coming out is for a book-matched bowl that I turned out of some museum-grade walnut. And that piece actually sold on Etsy the other day, which I'm quite happy about. Honestly, I think the price for that thing was pretty reasonable. There we go. Oh, there we go. Hold on. Boy, that's loud for you guys. Sorry about that. But that means that I have about 12 minutes left in the shop this morning, so we have one more thing to do, which is to get the second component of this bleaching done. So there you go. Middle carved layer is protected. That's great. Knife back in pocket, and then yeah, we're gonna bleach the last little bit of this. So make sure I hear what it says. All right, so 10 minutes for hardwoods. Apply solution B while surface is still wet. Yes. Yes, indeed. And then I'm going to throw all this out outside. Is surface still wet? Yeah, kind of. All right. Yeah, let's get in there. We'll see what happens. Cool. Right. And I don't know if this happens immediately or if it happens while it dries. I don't know. We'll have to see. Just using a little bit here. Wait. No, that's A. Dang it. All right, hold on. Give me 1 sec. See, it specifically set it up so that I wouldn't do that. I set them apart so that I wouldn't do that, and then that was the first thing that I did. Classic, right? Okay, here we go. So, splash of solution B. Yeah, this is Zinsser wood bleach. I was doing some research on this technique, and Mike Peace has a pretty good video on it, where he just goes straight to the source. He just gets lye. It just goes for it. All right, so here we go. Painting on top of this. And then I guess we just wait and see what happens there. Cool. I'm not going to touch it again, I'm just going to let it dry and we will see how that bleaches. I'll probably try to show it on the live stream later this week. By later this week, I guess I have to mean tomorrow, right? Because the week is almost over somehow, which is bananas. I've also had kind of a crazy week at my day job. I have a lot going on. I feel like I can see the future of my day job, like what's going to happen. It's just going to take a long time to get here, and I won't know if I'm right about some decisions that I've made for probably a couple months, or maybe even until I'm back from paternity leave. So it's a little bit nervy, but I don't know. It's exciting. It's an exciting time. There we go. Okay, cool. So now I'm gonna try to wrap the foot. Go. Going to catch train, Manoj, have a great day. I'm probably going to hop off in a few minutes, but I hope you have a great one. Thanks for staying here and chatting with me. I appreciate it. All right, there we go. Cool. So that's where we are, leaving that band exposed, and then I'm going to do the rim as well. I actually try to see like. Okay. Yeah, 6 minutes to get the other rim done. Yeah, we can do this. We can do this. We're gonna have to do this one in sections too. Alright, that's fine. That is fine. There we go. Just a section of the rim at a time. I've done my last 5 minutes in the shop. If anybody has any questions about finishing or technique, wood in general, life questions, you need advice from somebody who really doesn't know what they're doing in their own life, it's a great time. think I can get the rest of this rim messed up in that time. That should be good. Pushing the tempo right now. So I've been running a lot more in the evenings, just trying to like keep my weight in check, because I know that I get fat every time my wife and I have a new baby, which we are slated to do sometime in the next month. But I had this song in my running playlist that started with an engine revving, and I literally thought I was gonna get run over every time that it came on. And I like the song, but it made me panic every single time. Like I was just jumping away from people's driveways, looking like a total psycho on their doorbell cameras, I'm sure. Because this song literally, like no preamble or anything, so I can't prepare for it, and then it's just the revving of a V8. Like, it scared me half to death every single time. So I finally had to pull it from the playlist, even though I really, really like the song. And then I'm probably going to do the sandblasting offline, because I just cannot think of a good way to show y'all the sandblasting. I cannot figure out a way to get you inside that box. I can barely see inside the box, and I'm right on top of it, so you may just wind up seeing the aftermath. I also need a way to film it for the long form video, which I have not figured out yet. I kind of want to put my GoPro like in a case and then just throw it in there. Just kind of see what happens, because I don't use my GoPro a lot now anyway. I think it could be kind of cool, but I think I might also be like a $200 shot if it messes up the GoPro. And gotta tell you, I'm not making millions on these YouTube videos, you know what I'm saying? That would be an expensive shot. It could be cool if it works out, but there we go. Perfect timing. Yeah, literally as I finished, that was perfect. So I'm gonna set this crease here. And then, yeah, that's our product. I can leave this because I don't really care. But yeah, so I'm gonna sandblast these two rings on the outside. And I think it's gonna look pretty cool. So I have that one taped up. I have this one completely taped up as well. And then tomorrow, we get the big one. So that should be fun, right? Well, ladies and gents, it's been a pleasure having you in the shop this morning. Thanks for sticking around. Drop comments if you have questions later, and I will see you either tomorrow or the next day, bright and early.